I don't know what man needs to hear this, but stop taking care of that woman who is not treating you well, not appreciating you, not respecting you. You do not win an award for sticking around. You do not win an award for saving her. In fact, all you are doing is drowning yourself in the process.
There's something profound that happens when a man reaches a certain point in his life. The games fall away. The need to impress fades. What remains is something far more powerful than youth or charm. It's presence. And when you combine that presence with the right words, something magical occurs. Women don't just notice you, they remember you. If you are new to this channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. Most men completely miss this. They're still operating from old playbooks, throwing around surface-level compliments like confetti. Nice dress. Beautiful smile. You look great today. These aren't wrong, but they're forgettable. They're what every other man says. But you? You have access to something deeper. Something that only comes with experience, with having lived through enough seasons to understand what truly matters. Let me tell you about my friend Robert. He's 72, quiet by nature, the kind of man who listens more than he speaks. Last month at a coffee shop, he struck up a conversation with a woman reading alone at the corner table. After they'd talked for 20 minutes about books and travel, he simply said, "You have this way of making complex ideas feel approachable. That's a rare gift." She put her book down, really looked at him. Not the quick glance we're used to, but the kind of attention that says, someone just saw something real. They ended up talking for 2 hours, not because Robert was smooth or charming, but because he offered something most men never do: genuine recognition of who she was, not just how she appeared. This isn't about pickup lines or manipulation tactics. This is about understanding that as mature men, we possess 3 quiet advantages that younger men simply don't have. We've developed emotional stillness. We're comfortable with silence, with letting moments breathe. We carry life wisdom in our voices, our timing, our very presence. And perhaps most importantly, we have nothing left to prove. That last point changes everything. When you speak without agenda, without the desperate need for validation, your words carry different weight. Women feel this immediately. It's the difference between someone trying to get something from them and someone simply offering recognition. Here's what science tells us about compliments that create real connection. When a woman receives words that are specific, sincere, and unexpected, her brain releases dopamine, the same chemical associated with joy and deep appreciation. But here's the crucial part. This only happens when the compliment feels safe, when there are no strings attached. Most men focus entirely on appearance. They compliment what they see instead of who they've encountered. But the compliments that stay with women, the ones that create lasting impressions, go deeper. They recognize inner strength, emotional impact, and personal journey. Instead of, "You're beautiful," try, "You speak with such clarity that people naturally lean in to listen." Instead of, "Nice outfit," consider, "You carry yourself with the kind of confidence that only comes from knowing who you are." Instead of commenting on her looks, acknowledge her growth. You've developed this graceful way of handling difficult conversations. That kind of wisdom doesn't happen overnight. Notice how these compliments require you to actually pay attention. They demand presence. You can't give them casually or automatically. They emerge from genuine observation and respect. Timing matters just as much as content. The wrong moment can turn even the most thoughtful words into an uncomfortable experience. Never use compliments to fix, impress, or distract. They should feel like natural recognition, not strategic deployment. The most powerful moments for meaningful compliments are when she shares something personal, when she demonstrates thoughtfulness that others miss, or in quiet moments when she's not expecting recognition. These aren't transaction points. They're opportunities for genuine human connection. Let me share 2 contrasting stories that illustrate this perfectly. Thomas, 68, met a woman at his grandson's school play. She was clearly the grandmother, handling a fidgety toddler while simultaneously helping other parents find seats. After the performance, Thomas approached her and said, "The way you manage to help everyone while keeping that little one calm, that's the kind of presence that makes difficult moments feel manageable." She paused, surprised by the specificity of his observation. They talked until the parking lot was nearly empty. What made this work wasn't charm or cleverness. It was that Thomas noticed something real and acknowledged it without expecting anything in return. Contrast this with Michael, also in his late 60s, who met a woman at a community event. She was intelligent, well-spoken, clearly someone who'd lived an interesting life. But when Michael complimented her, he said, "You've got great legs for someone your age." Even though he meant it positively, she felt reduced to her physical attributes and judged by age-related expectations. The conversation ended quickly. The difference? Thomas saw a whole person and acknowledged her impact. Michael saw a woman through the lens of age and appearance. One created connection, the other created distance. There's actually a psychological approach to compliments that goes beyond making someone feel good. It can help them feel truly understood. Psychologists call this emotional validation. Instead of just saying someone is strong, you acknowledge what it took to develop that strength. Instead of commenting on the outcome, you recognize the journey. When someone shares a difficult experience, you might say, "That required real courage to navigate." Not everyone emerges from something like that with their heart still open. You're not fixing or minimizing their experience. You're witnessing it with respect. This approach creates profound connection because it demonstrates that you're not just hearing their words, you're understanding their experience. For women who've spent decades being valued primarily for their appearance or usefulness, this kind of recognition feels revolutionary. But let's be honest about what doesn't work. Certain phrases that men think are complimentary actually create distance. "You're beautiful for your age" focuses on age as a limitation. "You remind me of my ex-wife" places her in someone else's shadow. "You look good for a grandmother" carries assumptions about what grandmothers should look like. These mistakes share common threads. They emphasize age as a qualifier, carry hidden assumptions, and feel more like performance than genuine recognition. Before speaking, ask yourself, am I honoring who she is? Or am I revealing my own limited expectations? Your compliments reveal as much about you as they do about her. When you notice grace, resilience, or wisdom, you're showing that you value depth over surface. When you recognize how she handles challenges or treats others, you're demonstrating that you pay attention to character. This tells her everything about what kind of man you are. I once heard a man tell a woman, "You move through the world like someone who's made peace with her own story." He wasn't trying to be poetic. He was simply expressing what he observed. That compliment stayed with both of them because it revealed his capacity to see people in their full complexity. At this stage of life, we're not chasing validation or trying to prove anything. What we seek and what we can offer is the profound experience of being truly seen. The right compliment doesn't demand attention or show off your cleverness. It simply communicates recognition. It says, "I see you." When a woman feels genuinely seen, not evaluated, not judged, but recognized for who she really is, something shifts. She doesn't feel the need to perform or defend herself. She can simply exist in that moment of being appreciated for her authentic self. This is where real connection begins. Not in the loud, flashy gestures of youth, but in the quiet recognition that only comes with wisdom. Your words carry weight now, not because you've memorized better lines, but because you've lived long enough to mean what you say. The most powerful compliment you can offer isn't about how someone looks. It's about who they are when they think no one is watching. It's recognizing their kindness, their strength, their particular way of making others feel valued. These observations can only come from a man who's learned to truly see people. Start small. Tonight, maybe you'll notice something genuine about someone, not their appearance, but their character. Maybe you'll find the courage to acknowledge what you see. Watch what happens when you offer recognition instead of flattery, presence instead of performance. Sometimes the smallest acknowledgement creates the most profound change. When you speak with sincerity, with no agenda behind your words, women listen with more than their ears. They listen with their hearts. And that's where lasting connection lives. This isn't about becoming someone different. It's about embracing who you already are. A man with enough experience to recognize what matters, enough wisdom to speak with purpose, and enough confidence to offer genuine appreciation without expecting anything in return. That combination is rare, valuable, and absolutely magnetic.